Hello. Hello all, I'm Silvina Moschini. I'm the founder and CEO of She Works and executive producer of Unicorn Hunters. And today I have the enormous pleasure of introducing another amazing woman, Lauren Foundos, CEO and founder of Forte, and Andrew Macadam. He leads the tech ecosystem and accelerator for Microsoft. And today we are going to talk about something very important, these magical creatures that we rarely see because there are only 600 in the world. But we want to see much more, and we're going to talk about unicorns and the show, and Lauren and Andrew and everything that they do to make this happen. So join me to greet our guests, Andrew, Lauren, and I would love to have Lauren introducing herself and telling her a little bit more about what she's doing.
For sure. So thank you so much for having me this morning. I'm here in New York City. I'm the founder and CEO of Forte, which I think we're going to kind of get into in a little bit. The short version is Forte enables gyms around the world to create a premium digital experience. So we help all the way from the content creation to creating a digital platform for them, which was obviously very useful within the last year and will continue to be a really relevant part of the future for them to succeed.
That is amazing, Lauren. And you are based in New York, and tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah, I'm based in New York City. I grew up in Long Island, so right outside the city. Forte actually means strong in Albanian, which is where my family is from. So a little homage to them. Also strong in a bunch of other languages are pretty similar. I used to work on Wall Street for a little over a decade before I started this company. So nothing to do with fitness or technology, trading institutionally, trading government bonds, a bit different, more in Rosie's path. And prior to that, my whole life, I was an athlete. I was an All-American. I played field hockey. I played in college. So working out has just, been such a huge part of my life. It's been my therapy, my escape. I think you can relate to that. And so, we aspire to make everybody have access to it, enjoy it. And, it's so exciting to be building something that I live and breathe every day. So, this is my life. And now it's exciting to be building a company that I'm so passionate about.
And we'll get back to talk later on why sports and being a champion in competitive sports make you such a good entrepreneur. Now I'll go back to Andrew. And as you probably know, Microsoft for Startups helps many companies from around the world to access opportunities and entrepreneurs to lift the bar to succeed in their businesses. And I would love to invite Andrew to introduce himself and tell us a little bit more about what he's doing.
Sure. I mean, Silvina, you're doing my job for me. I mean, that was a wonderful introduction. So thank you so much. But I'm Andrew Macadam. I'm the global field lead for Microsoft for Startups. So essentially, I have the joy of running teams all around the world at the moment that are engaged in the startup ecosystem. Microsoft for Startups, we talk about you're here to do great things and we're here to help. And the way that we do that is, think about it this way. Microsoft itself, obviously big company. We've got one or two people working for us around the world. So we've got this amazing internal resource, but we also have this incredible partner ecosystem. Silvina, a partner like Unicorn Hunters. We have this amazing access to these incredible people all around the world that can also enable our startups. And then we've got that final piece as well, customers. We've got the opportunity by bringing Microsoft, our partners and our customers, and creating this ecosystem that we surround startups with ultimately to help them scale and grow. So I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go forward. And I'm just so you know, you did ask me, I'm based just outside of Dublin in Ireland.
Lucky you. And as you could see in everything that you said, we are also in sync. We are both in pink and we didn't talk about it.
That. I mean, it's incredible.
Thank you, Andrew. And Lauren, the people that are now joining us in this extension of Unicorn Hunters want to know more about the idea behind Forte. Why did you create it? How did you assess the opportunity for bringing the screen to get people closer to fitness?
For sure. I got really into actually working out when I was working on Wall Street. I would bring my clients to work out with me instead of doing the usual entertaining activities because I was so passionate about it. And so I got really into going to different places. And I just realized that they were limited by the capacity of the physical location and that they were adopting very little technology, and nothing has changed for 30 years on fitness equipment within the gym, and it's been the same. And so I started to see what I thought the future would look like. And I became so fixated on it, and I became certain of it. And I didn't want to tell a story that I, thought of this idea, but I didn't start the company. And so I ultimately, everyone in New York City says I should have bought an apartment. So I bought an apartment, and I was like, I'm not going to say I should have bought an apartment, and I'm not going to say I thought of that. And I just felt so certain that the future was going to be where you can have access to everything around the world, and that, that we had to find a way to make this happen. And so ultimately I didn't really know where to begin, but I knew that it was going to get there. When we started it, we were sort of pushing the boundaries. The gyms weren't obviously ready to embrace this idea. And fast forward to today, the world is a much different place. And obviously with the pandemic, it was a complete necessity. And now I think gyms realize it's a way, and the only way for them to survive going forward, which is exciting now that the pandemic's sort of winding down, if you may, in some regard, in some areas. We're signing our biggest accounts now, which is really exciting, which means that these guys realize this is the path to succeeding in the future, and not just that was a Band-Aid for this temporary period of time. So it's exciting as a founder for the market to be on the same wavelength as me, finally, and really trudging forward fast now.
And Lauren, you mentioned the pandemic, and the pandemic was certainly a game changer, but I'm sure that many people ask you if you have the crystal ball to anticipate the future, because through the pandemic, like working out remotely, working out using digital platforms became the absolute norm because we couldn't go anywhere. So
Totally.
People realized actually that this could be done. And they're like, now the cat is out of the bag. So
Totally.
How do you see the market opportunity?
Totally. I think it's important to note that this was a good business before the pandemic. So people were working out at home. 67% of US gym goers were working out at home with the digital platform pre-pandemic. So it was good then. It's great now, right? Because to your point, everyone that hadn't tried it has tried it. And they didn't just try it for 2 weeks. They did it for over a year. So they've created a habit. They realize they can do this. Just like the work from home is going to be now this hybridization, so is the gym. And I think it just fast forwarded the momentum of what the customer behavior already was. The consumer was already trending this way, the forward-thinking people, but our B2B, our clients were not there mentally yet. So this has forced everybody to kind of just really accelerated the process of what was happening within a year very quickly. So for them to adopt technology. And so it's been super exciting, as a founder that we are here for that moment and thankfully prepared to scale at that very moment. I would have never thought in a million years that we would have been in such a compromising position for the last year, but.
Which is also like, I like to think of crisis as opportunities, just like as the Chinese say, like, at imminent danger and then opportunity. So
Totally.
The pandemic was for your business a massive accelerator, something that changed the completely dynamic and probably like save you hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising and education to show the opportunity that people have to improve their lives, to live healthy and better lives. But I'd like for you to tell us a little bit more about how we can help people out there to understand the business model, how we are going to make money, and what is in it for them. Like why they should invest in Lauren and why they should invest in FORTE. But before doing that, now that we have Andrew back, I would like to have his perspective, because Andrew and Microsoft is one of our dear partners who help us identify amazing entrepreneurs that have the potential to become unicorn leaders and unicorn businesses to do that. So I would like to have Andrew's feedback and insight on how do they, from Microsoft, identify these rising stars and how they help them to take their company to the next level.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be an event if something didn't go slightly wrong. Apologies. I was.
Don't worry, we got you back.
And ever the pro, Silvina, ever the pro. So listen. When it comes, and it's really interesting at the moment because we get asked this quite often. It's like, why startups? And to be honest, what we're really focused on at the moment is actually increasing awareness of the startups that we're working with. But I guess one of the key things that we're really looking at is, when it comes to engaging with our customers, there are a lot of solutions that we don't have. So what we actually do is we look at this amazing ecosystem around us and say, how can we actually engage them? How can we enable them? And from that, enable our customers to then get access to this technology. The customers or the startups that we're working with at the moment, I think I mentioned, but we'll look at anything from MVP plus. So think about pre-seed from a funding perspective. And we look at every single industry because, as I mentioned already, when we think about our customers, they're in every single industry possible. Now, Microsoft for Startups itself has been going for about 3 years now. And one of the key things is that we've really seen is as we've progressed, we were pretty tight focus at the start. We were talking about Series A plus, and we were in very specific areas that we focused in. But as we've gone along, we've had this overwhelming feedback from our customers around they are now dialing down their own R&D and innovation internally because they're recognizing this incredible ecosystem that we can enable them to tap into to accelerate their digital transformation and their innovation. And when it comes, and it's always a fun question, isn't it? It's like, how do you find them? And we don't have a crystal ball. You know, it's not like we can suddenly go, well,
I'm disappointed now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I anoint the. I mean, it's like if we could do that, Silvina, everyone would be doing it. But one of the things I would say, a few things that we really look at. Number one, it's all about the team. I've worked myself probably with well over 3,000 startups since I've been in Microsoft. And the thing that gets me, the one that always stands out is when you meet the teams and you just know the way that they're set up. And one of the key things, I mean, I'm looking at Silvina, yourself, and Lauren, the way that you talk as well. I mean, pitch perfect, nailed it, absolutely spot on. But one of the key things I also look for is a diverse team. And it's unbelievably important with regards to, and all the research is out there, Silvina, I'm sure you know it already, but all the research is out there at the moment. Harvard Business Review, Deloitte were doing something recently, Ernst & Young, I saw a report, PW, all of the big consultancies are talking about this. And essentially they're all saying the same thing. By ensuring that you have DE&I as absolutely one of the key things that you're focused on as part of building that team, it's proven to have a financial impact, and it's also proven to accelerate innovation. Because essentially one of the key things I always find is it actually removes that unconscious bias. And people go, well, how do you know that? It's like, well, you don't know it, it's unconscious, which is why it's so important to actually bring people with different perspectives. Because if you don't know that you're making these mistakes. So that's one of the things. It's like, I'm not sat here saying, I know who the next, unlike you, Silvina, and your team, I don't know who the next unicorn will be. But what we try and do is create that sort of that environment that catalyzes and supports them through technical support, commercial support, go-to-market support to enable them to accelerate their journey. As I say, I always keep an eye on that diversity, equity, and inclusion.
But you will know how to spot a unicorn and also what a unicorn will be. You have a potential unicorn coming to the market very, very soon. But one important thing, Andrew, that we see, and I experience myself as founders, like you see, the data is all there. Like women-run companies return better profits and receive less investment, and we are extremely qualified. Today, women have like a larger number of advanced degree. So it's like sometimes like mind-boggling, like when you have all the data and it's not about. I feel that women are equally good. There are data that proves that we are as good, and in some cases we are more fit for the job that some of the guys. Yet women don't receive the same amount of support or money, and we are evaluated based on proof over proof over proof instead of potential. That means that we don't get the money. So what we're focusing at Unicorn Hunter is introducing, working with partners like Microsoft and with experts like yourself, these companies that has gone through a due diligence process that has been vetted many multiple times by different people, so they can get people on the other side of the equation to support them and co-build with them, and leveraging from the Jobs Act, enabling them to access the capital that can actually help them build their dreams and execute on their vision, because no money, no vision possible. And this is as simple as that. So I'll go back to Lauren, and I would love to go back to the prior question. And Lauren, if you can share us a little bit more about your business, what you want people to understand about Forte, why they should invest in you, anything that you can share that can help our guys out there to become partners and shareholders of your company.
For sure. Yeah. So I think the short version is that we don't have anybody really doing exactly what we're doing, which is very exciting. Obviously, that's why going on Unicorn Hunters was super important, because getting money faster and continuing to run, obviously people are now aware that this is a good space to be in, and that there's a lot of people interested in getting into it. So one of the first things that we want to do is continue to keep our first mover advantage. From our business perspective, if you want a live broadcast, you can build a TV studio, or you use Facebook, Instagram, and Zoom and LinkedIn Live from your computer. They're very big, different ends of the spectrum. So we've created this hardware that is so unique to enable live broadcasting, that's automated, that looks TV produced, that switches between cameras, but requires no human operators. So that's pretty groundbreaking, and that's why we're signing all of the largest gyms in the world. Our signed accounts have over 10 million end users. That costs us $0 to acquire because they're already customers of these places. For instance, we're working with a couple of the largest YMCA organizations. The YMCA as a whole has 23 million people. That is very attractive. The Young Men's Christian Association doesn't get written up in TechCrunch every day, but that's a lot of people and they're already members. And so that's who we're focusing on. I think what's important is that there's all these amazing companies coming out but these brands have the members, right? And so we just want to power them to get in the future. And then we also deliver them these great platforms. So they're live and it has two-way video and you can connect your Apple Watch and they're super fun and interactive. And I think the biggest opportunity is that in America, we're fighting for the same 22% of active people, but most people don't work out. In China, it's 1% of the country is active. So I think streaming is really the ideal entry point for all these people. The number one reason people don't work out is because they're intimidated to walk in the door. So my dream is that we get people the confidence to stream like this and see one another from home, and then eventually share their video with their friends and eventually step foot in the door. I think that's the funnel that has never been able to be increased, and that I really, believe that this is the way to do that. So that's sort of my, bigger goal that keeps me motivated every day. But on the day-to-day right now, we just signed Good Life, which is Canada's largest gym chain. We just launched the NFL Players Association. We're getting ready to launch the UFC. And we're all these massive accounts. So it's super exciting. We've been sprinting as fast as we can. We're not bound to an addressable market in the US. We have clients in Canada, in Europe, all over the world, getting ready to launch Asia. Thanks to Microsoft, it makes it very easy to do that. In the old days, you would have to set up servers, and that was a very complicated thing. We just go on Microsoft services and turn on servers wherever, and we can have clients everywhere, which is super exciting, and obviously makes us a much bigger, opportunity to scale immediately, thanks to obviously all the infrastructure that they provide us.
And I hope that very soon also you launch Latin America. So one quick I would like for you to do is to invite people to contact you if they have this type of businesses opportunities. Like if you want to, if they want to have their gym or fitness center digitized, how can they reach Lauren? How can they reach Forte team?
For sure. You can reach us at partnerships@forte.fit. And then to invest, it's just invest@forte.fit. So either of those emails and we'll get back to you. We actually don't really do any PR or marketing. We have thousands of companies that have reached out to us. So if people are trying to create a premium digital experience for their brand, then they find us. So it's been super exciting. We're just working our way as fast as we can through that list of opportunities from people reaching out. So please certainly reach out. We'd love to hear from you.
And you have two revenue streams mainly, right? Will you please explain a little bit more? How do you make money?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple business model. So we install this hardware and software. The gym will send us a tech survey. With the hardware and software is made up of cameras and servers and our proprietary software. We charge them $10,000 for that, which is the cost of the hardware. It can vary depending on the amount of cameras. That if they want 3 or 5, obviously that cost will vary. That's just a means to getting the content, and then we charge $5 per user per month, and they can charge their members whatever they want. So their margin can be whatever they want from there. And in that $5, from our perspective, obviously we pay Microsoft to have a fee portion of that. Thank you, Andrew. And we pay for music licensing, two-way video, and wearable integration and API fees. And then obviously we have a margin as well.
Excellent. And Andrew, you are talking about democratizing access, and I would love to learn a little bit more about what you're doing, how Microsoft is supporting the startups, how the journey of a founder that wants to become part of Microsoft or a startup ecosystem looks like.
Yeah, thank you. And you know, it's so nice speaking with Lauren as well, because I mean, the story that she tells, it's like just such a great example of what we're trying to do, and to have someone articulate it and obviously get the value that you've had, Lauren. It's just thank you for telling the story. So from our perspective, what we're doing, we're pretty much located in every country around the world at the moment. The aim of what we're doing really is, as you would expect, we're a tech company. So we always say, if you want to engage with us, then absolutely you'll get some technical support. We'll give you an opportunity of accessing some cloud credits. And as I said already, if you're at that sort of pre-seed, if you've got a minimum viable product, if you've come up with an idea and started developing it, there's a great opportunity to engage with the Microsoft for Startup program. And during that, I always talk about the different stages that we try and help at. And a lot of it comes down, obviously, Silvina, to that amazing partnership ecosystem that we're talking about as well. Because some of them, very simply, they're at a point where they're thinking about product innovation. Do I have the right solution? Lauren obviously had that one nailed down. She had it from her own personal experience, and she knew the problem. And I love your comment earlier. It's like, talk about serendipitous timing, Lauren. I mean, it was fantastic. It was
Totally.
like it accelerated. But it's, you know, but you also, let's be clear, you took that opportunity. So let's not downplay the energy.
No, it was a good business before. It's a great business now. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. And I think, so the first bit is all about problem. It's like, is it the problem? And can we help those startups really understand how they can solve it? The next bit is the technology. How can they actually do it on our platform? And how can we make that scalable? So again, Lauren talked about the fact that she's looking at how she can scale that all around the world. It's that replication of the servers, the services that she's providing. The next bit that we also spend a huge amount of time, obviously with our startups on, is the commercial element as well. So that can be anything from, have they got the right pricing model? You know, the B2B versus the B2C modeling, totally different, massive implications. And also, again, I'm going to keep on talking about you, Lauren, because honestly, I love the fact that you're scaling through partnerships. Like you said, I wrote it down, 23 million in the YMCA. I mean,
a lot of people.
That's insane. It's like, that's 115 million revenue per month if you get them all. And somehow I think you've got the ambition to go after that. But you know, it's Silvina, your argument around the next unicorn becomes very clear very quickly when you're talking about the scale of the numbers. So we really try and work with the startups to assist them on that. And then you see, Silvina, I'm also picking up your points. It's that funding element as well. There are so many different ways that people can get funded these days. And normally it's actually the confusion, the lack of visibility on how to access that. I'm going to mention, if it's okay, one other startup that I'm working with that does focus in the funding space, because it's a female founder, Andrea Reynolds. She's an Irish founder. She is incredible what she's doing at the moment with regards to enabling. No, it's a different stage. Don't worry, Silvina. These are going to be your deal flow for all of the ones that will ultimately aspire to be in Unicorn Hunters. But they're doing a great effort at the moment to actually enable that. And I think the key thing is, as I said already, Unicorn Hunters, it's partners like you that we want to make the connections for these startups to enable them to really get that exponential growth. And then the final bit, it's not really the final bit, but another really important part is it's around the teams as well. So we will actually run sessions. We actually ran a session 2 weeks ago, and we had 16 sessions over 4 days. We had 30 experts across all different areas, and it covered everything from business model, pricing, but also all the way through into that work-life balance. How, as a founder, how you need to be able to control these things, because it's actually one of the things that we see has been a massive challenge in the last year in particular. Like, founders always work at an exponential. You're laughing.
Yeah, I don't know that I have mastered that.
Yeah, exactly. And Silvina, you're the same as well.
Well, there is not such a real thing as a work-life balance. It's at least to have it a little less unbalanced.
At least when your work is what you love to do anyway, for your reprieve, it makes it a little bit easier, right?
you know what? But it's Lauren, the thing about that is it's also acknowledging that. It's actually being conscious of it. And if you're conscious of it, then that's good, as it were. But so many founders aren't. They're not aware of the fact that they're just burning and not stopping. So it can even be down to, and that's what we're trying to do, Silvina. We're trying to ensure that no matter what stage startups are at, we bring support, we bring guidance, we bring experts, and we connect these communities together, ultimately to enable their success.
I love that. And also that you mentioned that you are supporting founders at any stage. We're starting to work on the baby unicorns crib to support these founders with another different and creative approach, doing equity for services, get the company where they need, because sometimes they need PR, sometimes they need digital, sometimes they need product help, sometimes they need distribution. So these type of things are extremely important, and you guys are addressing many of these issues. So that's super important. So back to you, Lauren. We are talking to your prospect investors. So why should they invest in you? What are they going to see as you move forward in your business? What's in it for them?
For sure. I mean, we are at a very big tipping point for the company. We've begun aggressively rolling out our sort of white label branded platform for these gyms. We actually have increased the efficiency of it by building a SaaS platform on Microsoft, which they've been very helpful in us helping to make it more efficient, to lower our costs, to auto scale correctly. So, you know, our costs are lower, increasing our margins. And we've really got this down to a science now. It feels good as a founder to be able to sign up a client, launch them through the onboarding process, get them out into the world and get them to thrive, and to have, you know, as a founder in the beginning, you're trying all these things and trying to make a business work. And now it's a business. We have a team that goes through this process and it works like a well-oiled machine and they come out the other end. So now we're just in a place where we're continuing to increase our onboarding rate. We have more demand than we can fulfill. So it was getting it right and just really increasing that funnel. So our revenues are you know, growing exponentially. Our clients are growing exponentially. We have inked most of the largest brands in the United States. That's our focus right now, obviously, because we are, you know, venture backed and trying to raise money. So we want to knock off the biggest subsets of the market as quickly as we can. And of course, just like in venture investing and everything else, people like to follow the leader. And so when you get these large accounts, it makes it the velocity of signing up other accounts much easier. So we're certainly in a great inflection point for the company. We have built an incredible team. I am so proud of all the people that we work with. Microsoft, you know, not to be a Microsoft advertisement, they have been instrumental in us starting the company. We would have never been able to start it because, to your point, we didn't know where to get funding, but we had to start building MVP, and that required streaming. And that requires, you have to pay for streaming. So all of the other options, it would have cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars to even just try to test what we were trying to build. We spent 3 years developing this hardware and software and this automation to the back end before we deployed it. We would have never been able to do that if Microsoft didn't give us credits and credit extension after extension after extension to get us to this point. So we were at a point where we were able to get funding and succeed. So we're very grateful for that. We're grateful for their continued support to help us become better and better. And Microsoft has actually helped us on a new level now because they do see that we're using more infrastructure. They believe in, obviously the space is pretty red hot at the moment. So we've been able to, you know, work with them and their architects to build an even, you know, more sound solution. So we're in an amazing place. I'm so grateful to be here, and I certainly, the work-life balance thing I'm not really working on, to be honest, right now, Andrew, trying to win this game, and I know what it takes to win. So that I'll focus on. Hopefully I'll have a lot of spare time to recover and recuperate once we make this a giant unicorn.
There is a very famous saying that it says, like, if you work on something you love, you don't need to think that you are working any day of your life. So it's also important. But you mentioned two important things, and going back to what Andrew said, like, founders need either the capital to buy the services or the capital and the service itself so they can scale. So this opens a wall of opportunity also for other players out there, like advertising companies have, like advertising space that we founders can use to scale our business so they can partner with us. So this is something of the type of things that we are trying to bring together through Stock for Services, which is one business unit of the platform that we are building, so we can tap into this remnant space or spare service capacity or services or people or organizations like Microsoft who believe in the founders, who believe that investing in the founders, not only with money, but also with resources and services, it's a fantastic business opportunity. So, Lauren, I will go back to you because I want to make it clear for people, if they invest in you, how can they see your path to success? Like, what is your exit strategy? What will be on it for them? Because people are there to say, like, yes, I love Lauren. She has the drive, the determination. She is a smart, driven, experienced. She has fantastic technology. And I'm not saying that Steve Wozniak said that. Like, I admire engineer. I almost died there. Like,
I know. I was speechless for the first time in my life.
Wow moment. I'm sure you clip that and you will send it as a digital asset one day.
Totally.
It's going to be like super big. Like, I want to be there when you ring the bell and remember that moment at Unicorn Hunters, and feeling extremely proud, as I already feel, of what you're doing and of you for driving this, for having the courage, having the guts, having the determination and the grit, the patience and the thick skin to not allow anyone out there the many people that usually do not believe in big dreaming, especially coming from female founders. So what will you say to your prospect investors out there? How will you make them make money?
For sure. So we have, obviously, we will see what opportunities come to us, but we have had many acquirers, so many so that we've hired bankers and we've gone through the whole process, which has only made me savvier for the real exit, whether it becomes an exit to another company or we choose a path to IPO, depending on the velocity of the market, what's evolving in the market. And obviously we'll have to weigh all those options, but it feels great to have something that people are already ready to buy today. But we were at such a great inflection point that we were confident in our ability to sort of hit our future revenue goals. And so we actually partner with some of these people that were trying to acquire us now, and actually work with all of them as we integrate with all these payment and gym and management software companies. So we sort of created this competitive atmosphere for them, and continue to, obviously, our grandest acquirers would be the people on the phone right now, Apple, Amazon. I mean, those guys, obviously not directly in the fitness space, but those would be great acquirers as well. So certainly hustling to make it something that's of value to them, or obviously continue on an IPO path. So we are certainly at a very large inflection point, and I'm confident in our ability to execute one way or the other there.
And one interesting thing is when you talk to a female founder, we are all super conservative. Like, we usually tend to play ourselves down. Like, if you ask the same question to a guy, he will say, I will IPO, I will be the best IPO of the living history. So I believe in you, Lauren, and I would love to learn why Andrew in particular and Microsoft for Startups invested in you, and how was the due diligence process when you assess a company like Lauren's?
Look, I mean, I agree, by the way, Silvina, and I think we really need to, this is one of the things, it's potentially it's one of the things at the moment that we see with so many female founders, and it is, and there's Lean In, Sheryl Sandberg talks all about this sort of the fears and why it happens, and it's just so important that we have more models like Lauren who are out there actually proving the value and the power of driving these businesses forward and doing it in a way. Anyone that's watching this will understand why we invested in Lauren and in Forte, because without a doubt, Lauren, the way that you've done this, it's, number one, you're incredibly clear on the problem, okay, which is always important. Number two, it was the story behind the problem. It's how you got there and how you actually own that story as well. Number three, it's around the team around her. Number four, it's around the technology. And number five, it's around the fact that she is proving day in and day out about how she's growing that business, how she's taking every single opportunity that's coming away. And in fact, not only taking opportunities, but creating opportunities. Yeah. When you hear about that list of partners that she's talking about, we said the YMCA, but you mentioned, who else was it?
The UFC, the NFL players. Yeah. Like, the biggest gym chain in Canada.
Listen, everyone wants to talk to those organizations. Everyone does. But not everyone gets the opportunity and is then able to activate that opportunity. And I think this is the key thing, Silvina, when it comes to, why we make these decisions. We're very lucky. We get exposed to literally thousands of companies every year. Thousands. We've got over 5,000 startups in program at the moment. We're exposed to a lot. But you meet the ones, and when you meet the ones that do what Lauren did, and look, some people say, well, she was lucky. She managed to bump into the guy that runs the entire program. Yeah, great. But this was not lucky. This is Lauren hustling. This is Lauren working day in, day out. And the difference is that when she made that connection, she didn't just go, oh, that's an interesting connection. She went, how do I make the most out of this opportunity? And that there are people like Lauren that actually make our jobs even easier because they're the ones that actually drive those opportunities as well.
I love what you say, because I truly believe that real thing happens when preparation meets opportunity. Because yes, we have the pandemic that, make it possible, taking the cat out of the bag, that working out from home or from anywhere, it's something actually really cool, that you can build community using technology, because people are out there connecting with you, seeing your progress, engaging and building up. And in my personal history, by the way, Andrew, my company, one of my companies, She Works, runs on Azure. So we have several partnerships with Microsoft. Thank you very, very much for that. And we are enabling women to work remotely. So we were also building up this company. When I was living in Barcelona, to help women find jobs that fit into their life, like, trying to seek that work-life balance. That's something we find challenging to find. But this is super, super, super important. And one thing that you mentioned that I also look for when I seek for a founder is the purpose, how this company is going to make the world better. Because at the end of the day, if you have a business that does good things, there will be a lot of like-minded people out there that will support the same cause, because they will think that this is the right thing to do, and doing things good is a very, very good business. Positive things also bring business opportunities. So Lauren, what is next for Forte?
Yeah, so just to your point really quick, I always tell my parents, like, people will write us and say like that we've changed their life, or businesses that we're like changing their business. I'm like, nobody told me I made their life better on Wall Street. It is like so fulfilling and inspiring, and helps at, emailing at midnight and taking calls early in the morning, to know that you're working on something that has such a greater purpose. And actually, my own health may be deteriorating, but God willing, hopefully we're making others better. So I think that's, you don't know what you think your career is great until you like take a risk and try something else, and you don't know what's on the other side. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity just for that alone. Like, I thought my old life was great and that was lucrative, but this has been so rewarding. For the company, for us, we're getting ready to roll out some of these really large clients that I've mentioned. We're scaling into Asia and around the world. So we're really excited about that. We're continuing to scale our team aggressively and continue our onboarding rate much faster. So we expect our revenue to, it has been growing month over month aggressively. And we really look forward, we're grateful for this opportunity, grateful for Unicorn Hunters. I mean, to your point, that experience was so surreal. It was in the middle of the pandemic. I went home the next day and I was like, did that really just happen? Did I just imagine that whole day? It was such an amazing experience. We're grateful to have all these investors hopping on with us. And hopefully we'll get to meet and know some of you as well. It's really exciting to have people that see the vision, get it, and want to be a part of this journey.
It is an amazing time to start up or to grow companies now, because as we said, like within a crisis, there are always amazing opportunities because they take us outside our comfort zone.
Totally.
And this is something that we wanted to bring to people through Unicorn unicorn hunters, because usually founders like ourselves, female founders, will not have like a lot of chances because we have to go against this unconscious bias. As Andrew says, it's unconscious, so now I realize that it's real. So I remember my own experience living even in San Francisco, going to Silicon Valley, talking to people, the big VCs telling me that, yes, you have everything that it takes, you are amazing, you are smart and driven and successful, and you're such a great entrepreneur, your technology is fantastic, and this is the way to go, and this is your moment. But yet, when I ask them, okay, where is the money? I say, oh, well, we're going to think about it. Like, it doesn't really happen. And we discovered that as founders, we are always trying to solve problems. So I said, like, well, I do have a problem, because if I don't access the money I need, I will not be able to scale my company. So I will not be able to help millions of people out there who have a problem that I truly believe it exists. And I'm sure it was the same case with you. So we, as something that I'm turning into a book that is going to be released in August, is skirt the rules. We bend them, we didn't break them. We created a program for ourselves, seeking for alternative options, creative, lateral thinking way of how can I take existing legislation, and in this case, how can we take the Jobs Act to scale? Because people are accessing like crowdfunding platforms, but just for teeny tiny little things, like, you know, what, okay, you need $1 million here, $1 million there, or like you need just, you know, some money to print a t-shirt, and they will go to crowdfunding or equity crowdfunding platforms. But there are opportunities, and at the spirit and at the core of the Jobs Act, that was basically the opportunity for small businesses or startups scaling up to take their businesses to the next level by advertising the sale of their equity. Companies sell products. Why won't they sell like a teeny tiny pieces of their company as equity? So we did this. We took the Jobs Act to global scale, creating a concept that we call global private offering, to enable investors, accredited investors in the US and international investors who co-invest in these companies backed by accredited investors and backed by this startup. And in our case, we raised roughly $50 million, and my company reached unicorn status thanks to you, thanks to people who believe in our vision. So at Unicorn Hunters, what we are working to do is to give people the opportunity to be part of the journey of these amazing entrepreneurs, so they can be part of their success. Because when you go back to stories, like you see the people, one person that invested $5,000 early on in Uber, when Uber IPO, he made $25 million. So of course, Uber have the luck to have billions of dollars poured into them as investors, as investment. So this is super, super important. And Roberto is one of my investors, and Jimenez is one of my investors. And I love you guys for always believing in me, and I love you guys for really thinking that this is the best way to do things. So through Unicorn Hunters, we're enabling you to meet founders like Lauren and the people who are also backing you, like Andrew, backing her, like Andrew. So you can invest in their success. So you can support economically and bring in connections, because when you create this ecosystem, you have a massive ecosystem that will support you, who will have a skin in your game. So it's about democratizing access to investment opportunity, because in the past, only 1% of the people have the chance to become trillionaires or billionaires. Now we want 99% of the people to have the chance to become millionaires, because this is the right way to go, because wealth needs to be distributed in this world. So I celebrate Andrew and I celebrate Lauren, and I would like to go back to Andrew to see what his vision about the challenges that entrepreneurs face when raising capital, and how this type of model, global equity crowdfunding, and what we are doing at Unicorn Hunters can bridge this gap.
I'm sorry, I just missed the end of that. Sorry, Silvina.
No, not a problem. It's like, what's your vision about how equity crowdfunding and platforms like Unicorn Hunters can help bridge the gap? And what have you seen of entrepreneurs, like when entrepreneurs die or the businesses die, what's, the challenges that you face out there, how approaches like this can help?
Do you know what? And it's so funny. We talk about cloud platforms so often, where we talk about democratizing IT, i.e., how do we make it possible for a tiny, tiny company to access the same technology that the biggest companies on the planet use? What you're doing in Unicorn Hunters is exactly the same. You are democratizing funding. So from my perspective, Silvina, you are, like, you've just told this amazing story about yourself. You talked earlier on about purpose, and both you and Lauren, I think, absolutely typify the importance of that purpose. You recognize that your purpose, Silvina, was democratizing the opportunity of funding. So when I hear this story, and when I look at what you've already started to do, and when I hear about your future plans as well, about those earlier stage companies, all I can say is, what you're doing is something that will enable so many more people, not only the businesses, the startups themselves, to access the funding, but everyone on the planet to actually start to get the benefit from investing money that probably is sat doing nothing at the moment. Let's be honest. What's going on with our banking systems? The opportunity. Obviously there's, but it's one of those where this amazing opportunity to invest, to allow incredible startups like Forte and Lauren to be successful, and for you to get the benefit from that as well.
I love that, and it's also for companies out there to get amazing innovation that they can partner up. So if companies want to partner up with the companies in our show, like Lauren's, it will be an amazing opportunity to not only put their money, but also have a right feeling on the pulse of the business by supporting their growth. So these are also dual opportunities that can come this way. And as you say, Andrew, there are many ways to support founders when we are looking at earlier stage funding or startups needs. Services are also very, very important. And I want to emphasize that, because many startups do not make it to the next level, what is called the valley of death, because they don't have the capital that they need to reach the metrics that they will need to go to institutional investors in a competitive position without having to giving up their soul or their company, as it happened many times, because we are vulnerable when you are just, in an asymmetrical relationship. So we need to change that, and we need to empower the people that will empower us back by making their companies big and giving us a potentially very, very good return to do their things. So this is something very important. So let's start taking questions. We have GR ready. Silvina, and Lauren, and Andrew, this is a great discussion. Thank you for your passion, for sharing knowledge. Keep up the great work. Best wishes from Ustes, India. Thank you, GR. Thank you very, very much. And Eugenio is asking us if we can give some advice for entrepreneurs around the world. Lauren, I will pass that to you, and then to Andrew.
For sure. I think the most important thing is just to get started and start, don't overthink it, just to start doing things. You may not end up exactly where you thought you would, but I think, you just have to get started and start building and telling people that you're building a company and owning that you're working on it, and it will all start to come to fruition. I think that's the first thing. You start kind of secretly working on things. You got to own that you're starting a company, say that you're the founder of it, and just get moving. I think that's the most important thing. And then obviously surrounding yourself with great people to make it a reality. Nobody can do anything alone. And part of that will come with funding, but part of that will come in the early days with just getting people that believe in your idea, that are willing to commit to getting it to that next level.
Absolutely. And Andrew, what will be your message to them?
You see, how can I go after the lady that's doing it all at the moment? But I will do my best from the advice that be clear on the problem that you're solving, use your network, and don't think, and it's back to your point, Lauren, don't think it has to be 100%. Just get it out there, test it, iterate it, improve it. Do not, if you aim for perfection, you will never deliver what needs to be done.
You'll miss the opportunity.
Don't miss the opportunity. That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Absolutely. And just to wrap up, I think we have a couple of few other questions, but I would like to have a message from Lauren. What will be the next step that people who want to invest in Forte need to follow?
So they can invest by going to invest.goforte.fit, and then that's where all the deal information is, so you can learn more about the company. I think, from your point, I could tell you a lot of stories about my experience trying to raise money or going into Silicon Valley, but I think as a founder, the most exciting thing is they didn't like it at 4 million, they didn't like it at 10, they didn't like it at 17, and now, and they're certainly not going to like it at 40 billion. So I think definitely please try to get in, please join us on this journey. We're at a very big inflection point, signing up the biggest companies in the world. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity from both Microsoft to get started and Unicorn Hunters to continue on the journey. It's been a great ride, and I'm excited to have you guys both here with me too. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys.
Thrilled to have you here, Lauren. It's been an honor to meet you, and
thank you.
Everyone can tell that I was just like, totally in heaven when I saw a female founder supported by the complete circle of money. This rarely happens because we are different people there, the circle of money, and not only very different people, but also each one of us represent one of the investors out there. I'm the social impact entrepreneurs who cares about women, equality, and impact, and making the world a better place. Alex is a former banker who built at 23 years a multi-million dollar businesses back in Russia when he immigrated to the US. Of course, Steve was incredible, as one of the most iconic persons in Silicon Valley and the co-founder of Apple. Roxy follows the money trial, who was a former treasurer of the United States. And Movella is just, a darling, in addition to going to leave the Spanx to follow Forte. He was a senior advisor twice for Joe Biden and Al Gore. So he's a guy that knows anything, everything this needs to be known about policy, about government, about impact as well. And we believe that we have a fantastic opportunity in supporting female founders, but especially this type of ladies that will get things done. And it brings me back to Margaret Thatcher back on time that says, want something done? Ask a woman. So Lauren.
So true.
And with that, I will wrap it up, not without asking Andrew, what do companies need to do to get into Microsoft for Startups ecosystems?
Uh-oh.
Andrew, you are
muted.
Did someone go and mute me? I might have muted myself. Super simple. Either connect with our partner ecosystem. So there's VCs, there's accelerators, incubators all around the world. Connect with the Unicorn Hunters team. I'm sure they'll have a link as well. Yeah.
And we are in sync.
There we go. Exactly. Otherwise, speak to someone in Microsoft. I'm on LinkedIn. Connect with me. We'll make sure that we can support as many startups as we can and get them into the program.
We love you, Andrew. Thank you so much for everything that you are doing for us. I'm Silvina Moschini. You can follow me on Twitter as Miss Internet. And Lauren Foundos, you can follow her on Twitter where?
At Foundos, my last name, Foundos.
And don't forget to sign up for unicornhunters.com. Every 14 days, we release a new episode. Amazing founders out there for you to know, to learn from, and hopefully to join them in their journey and invest to build the next unicorns. Because after all, we are all unicorn hunters. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Brilliant.